A series of new calls now to replace the presumptive Republican nominee, Donald Trump, at the Republican convention in 5 weeks. These calls come just as a major conservative voice came out calling the last 72 hours of Trump's campaign his worst ever. Yes, that includes Mr. Trump's speech last night. And today called for changing convention rules to give the GOP a new last-minute nominee. Here's Hugh Hewitt.
The Republican Party is facing the plane is headed towards the mountain after the last 72 hours. I think the party ought to change the nominee because we're going to get killed with this nominee. And I have never said that. I waited till after the primary was over. I stayed Switzerland to the end, and the 72 hours dovetailed with that. They ought to get together and let the convention decide. It's awful, and it ended bad last night. If you're just joining me, the Donald Trump speech last night was his moment to drain the toxicity.
And he was disappointed, Hugh. Joining me now, former Secretary of Education under President Reagan, the host of the Bill Bennett podcast, and the author of Tried by Fire, Bill Bennett. Bill, good to see you. It's not just Hugh Hewitt, right? There's others now. Mitt Romney's having his annual summit. There's a bunch of never-Trumpers out there. Also, Reince Priebus is going, and Paul Ryan is going. There's question about whether they're going to try to, who's going to try to persuade whom over to which side. And the goal, they're saying, is to now try to get the delegates on the first ballot, Bill, to abstain so that on the second ballot or the third ballot, they'd be free to vote for somebody they want. And the name they're mentioning right now is Scott Walker.
Yeah, Hugh Hewitt, he's my buddy. We were colleagues at Salem Radio. I don't know if you know this, but he took over my morning radio show.
Yep.
I didn't know this was his point of view when he took over my morning radio show.
Well, he just came out with it.
Anyway, I know. We differ on this. But no, this is still rumbling around. It's still out there. And look, I understand the anxiety caused by the 48 hours of the 72. With you and I were on last week talking about the judge and the judge comments about the judge. And you were very upset about it, and you were absolutely right to be. We all were. And then it looked like he was going to double down, maybe triple down. And so the worry began, is this becoming an obsession, which is going to block his vision from talking about all the other things? Well, the other things have reappeared last night. Admittedly with a teleprompter, admittedly with, a very close hold speech. But the speech was excellent. He returned to all the themes that matter, and I think reassured a lot of people. Very hard hits at the Clintons. He's not pulling anything back there. But now the punches are aimed, and they're aimed at the right targets rather than targets that won't pay off. Look, I think we'll have this. I think we'll have this intermittently as we get up to the convention and maybe even at the convention. I just don't know how you're going to persuade these thousands of delegates that they were wrong and someone else needs to step in.
What they are saying, I'll tell you what they say. They say that these delegates are holding their nose, many of them, to vote for Donald Trump, and they believe, these never-Trumpers, Eric Erickson and others, that there's an opportunity here to get them to do what they think is the right thing, and to say, as Hugh Hewitt put it, the plane is going to go into the side of the mountain if they don't change up the nominee. They've tried to stop Trump many ways unsuccessfully, and this is a last-ditch effort to stop him from actually being the nominee.
I hate this plane into the mountain. That's that German pilot. It's just such a horrible memory brought back. Terrible, terrible analogy. I just hate it. But look, it's not going to happen because Trump is there by virtue of the strength of the delegate vote. Can rules be changed at the convention? Of course rules can be changed at the convention. Will they be? No. They also need to be reminded of this fact. Given all the trouble that Trump has caused, and a lot of it for himself, I agree with Newt Gingrich and others, he is still pretty close in the polls. And the other remarkable story this week was the record that Donald Trump set in turning out new voters, more primary voters for Trump than anybody in history. That's got to be taken into account, too. We all measure, we all weigh. In terms of holding your nose, we've held our nose through lots of elections. If you're in politics, it's not odor-free.
It's stinky.
Well, it can be. It can be stinky. Spoken like a mom. Very nice.
Bill, it's always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Great to see you.